Welcome back, you filthy exiles. Let's get rid of that ticking sound in the background from the Delve thingamabob and turn that down as well. So this is just a quick update to give you guys an idea of how Hexblast is going. You would have seen in the B-roll at the very start. It's going pretty damn well. So day one completion so far. We have 58 of 115 maps completed to the point where we're up to tier 10 to tier 11 we've completed so far. All Alkago, like, we're just smashing through absolutely everything at this stage. Now, depth-wise in Delve, we're down to 104 depth and still progressing with no real issues at all. So yeah, basically, build's going really well. For anyone who sort of is playing it, there are a few adjustments that I made to the build just to take note of. So I did put Wrathtide Pith in. I managed to get one. I wouldn't recommend this at this stage unless you are going to go like the Dissolution of Flesh route. The solution to not using this is simply just a spell shield with like spell crit and life and whatnot, and like 160 energy shield on it. That's basically it. Like that'll fix that problem. At the moment, I've switched that shit out. We'll go through gearing in a little bit. That was the only real variation I made. Now, when leveling, one thing that I did, if you're leveling the build and you're running into survivability issues or anything like that, literally, if you've played for a bit, you would have had like 1 or 2 C hit. I think these will be 1 C now. Yeah, they're 1 C. Just pick yourself up in Immortal Flesh. You actually end up mitigating most damage, but earlier in the axe by simply just regenerating past the damage that's coming in, and this was basically just made the game easy mode from the point I got it. Now I did get a profane proxy. The reason why I managed to get it is I managed to find an elemental node at about depth 80, and I had 3 on hit frost rings drop, and I sold them for like 50 C for 2 each and 100 C for the last one. So they're selling very, very well at the moment because of the need for on-hit builds like this with the Hexblast Miner. It's a popular build, and Pyroclast Miners. And the only other thing to be aware of that you should get earlier on, which is again a 1C item, as you can see there, Dread Arc. Really, really easy mode. Like, it gives you curse enemies with flammability on hit, which is why my POB's damage isn't amazing. It's at 130,000 right now per mine. But as you can see at the start, it just nukes through maps with that. So you can only imagine where we're going to go with this at this stage, considering we're getting into red maps. Now, I've got this on a 5-link setup, and we'll talk about all this. But anyway, that's the mechanics. If you want to know how I've got this set up, so I hold down Q and Q and W, and that basically just automatically discharges the mines. As you can see, how many mines can I have? There we go. I can have a cap of like 12 mines at this stage based on their cost, and that's going to decrease when I put another gem in there too, most likely. And then I've also got Wither Totems just set up on E, Shield Charge, and then my dash, and then, yeah, we'll talk about the rest of the skills in there. That's the key information you need to know, so let's talk about the POB. Okay, so let's talk about gearing in this build right now. So right now, we're running with a helm. Now, I've spent a few C on these items as I've accumulated C in early mapping and stuff like that. So right now, my helm is lightning and cold res, a huge amount of life regeneration rate, and a huge amount of life and a good amount of armor. So that's pretty good. Shield, I've got a lot of regeneration, straight block, straight armor, some intelligence, some resist. That's it. Amulet, pretty bodge amulet. So I've got fire res, strength, which deals with my strength issues, which is going to have to be something that I balance further into the build. Fire res, life. That's basically it. And rarity as well. Can't not have rarity. Dread Arc, which gives me curse with flammability on hit. I managed to get my profane proxy. Now I'm on the bench as to whether or not I like chill or shock more. Shock gives you more DPS, but chill just sort of feels better. So I'm sort of playing with which side this should be on at the moment based on how it feels. But yeah, my profane proxy with frostbite inside that, so it gets +3 to level, so it does a lot more damage. And then my other ring just attacks all other resistances that I have issues with, so it gets me to nearly fully capped reses at the end of the day, which is good, except for chaos. That's a problem right now. Chest piece, any old chest piece, just to get reses, life, just to get my 5-link up, and we'll talk about links soon. Gloves, again, same thing, resistances, life, life regeneration rate. That's been my target with this one. Boots, same thing. Movement speed, cold res, life regeneration rate, strength, and life. And that's basically the best rolls that I can get on it at this stage. And then Immortal Flesh. Then just a life flask, just a quicksilver flask, which is a lost cause flask right there. I need to fix that. I've got a sulfur flask on this. I've got a diamond flask, and I've got a Rumi's concoction, which is a 2C flask, just to sort of get that block up. So when it hits, when it goes off, you have 53% attack block, 46% spell block, which is pretty good. It's almost like versatile combatant, basically. So it's quite defensive, and it's true block, so it blocks 100% of damage inbound, which is pretty good. That's it for gearing, basically. Let's talk about the skill gems. Okay, skill gem setups are pretty bodge right now. So Helm, casting damage taken, level 8 specifically, with a level 12 Molten Shell. Just gives me a good amount of defense when I get hit or blocked. So faster attack, well, sorry, when I get hit. Faster attacks and shield charge, because if I don't put that on, you guys will go, what the fuck? And then in the shield, I've got Summon Skitterbots, Tempest Shield, and Determination. All these are still very much leveling, so they're still getting there. In my 5-link, I've got Hexblast, Minefield Support, High Impact Mines, Void Manipulation, and Increased Crit Strike. Now, I'm looking at doing Spellblade, so I might add Spellblade and Rebuke of the Veil and see how that works, because that potentially works really well. And then in my gloves, Vitality, Arrogance, because I want to reserve a bit of HP to get my my life regeneration up, and Flame Dash. So yeah, that's my main movement, because I just like the feel of it. In my boots, I've got Wither Totems, so Wither, multiple totem support, Spell Totem, and I've got Defiance Banner in that as well. Now, just with the regeneration on this, so on idle, I get to like 1000 when I'm sort of doing maps and whatnot. I get to 1600 life regeneration per second, and I've got a good amount of armor on this build too, and obviously block and everything else. So yeah, this character really does take advantage of having vitality on it in Arrogance, and Arrogance actually increases the effect of that aura by 19% as well, which is really useful. Gives me a lot more survivability. But yeah, that's basically it for the gem setups. Okay, pathing tree. There's no real deviations in the pathing tree. This was the tree I put up as my mid-tier tree, and still follows on from the early tier tree. The only change I made was I just ditched explosive elements, so I'd have 3 extra points to allocate elsewhere. So basically, leveled up, I took assassination first. I got my successful detonations, moved up to get my efficient explosives, and then my Eldritch Battery. Got this as soon as I could. If you're having issues with mana, you need Eldritch Battery. Eldritch Battery just solves the problem. Now, it might seem like 100 ES is nothing, but realistically, 100 ES is more than what you need, because that's the cast cost. And but I think someone wrote, oh, Eldritch Battery doesn't work with mines. Yes, it does. Mines have 2 costs. They have a reserve cost, which you can see here, and they have an actual cast cost. So the Eldritch Battery actually deals with the cast cost without the detriment to the reserve cost, which is why you can't fully reserve all your mana. Otherwise, you have a very limited number of mines that you can have. So mines sort of work like temporary auras sort of thing. Anyway, so I came down, picked up Influence, picked up Written in Blood, picked up Devastating Devices, and then I came across and I got my Cruel Preparations and Deep Thoughts. Then I came down and got my Sovereignty, Purity of Flesh. When I came back up, Arcane Potency, got my Arcane Guarding, picked up Discipline of the Forbidden, and then got my Instability on the way back. I also picked up Infused Flesh and this Regeneration node, because why not? I wanted more regeneration. More regeneration is better. And then basically picked up my Whispers of Doom. And you can actually get this pretty early, because up until just literally an hour ago, I was still running Blasphemy, and I was doing T10 maps and everything all the same. So yeah, it works. So you can run this build well into T10 maps and 100 depth and delve with Blasphemy, by the way, if you don't have a profane proxy. So that's no excuse to say, oh, I don't have a profane proxy, it's not going to work. No, it absolutely bloody works. It works fine. Okay, so then cluster. I don't have a real decent cluster at all. I'm just literally leveling up a 11-link cluster, but this is going to change very, very soon. So yeah. Now, a question on Ascendency sequence. So I picked up Explosive Experts, Born in the Shadows, Demolitions Experts, and Pyromaniac last. Pyromaniac just gives you stupid amounts of recovery, but you're better off with Born in the Shadows initially because it's a pretty big defensive layer, being able to blind everything. Now Pantheons are literally just Soul of Brine King and Soul of Grathcool at the moment. It's all I'm using. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this update. If you've got any questions, hit me up in the comments below. And if you're having issues with survivability, definitely get Immortal Flesh, get a Dread Arc early while you're doing the campaign. They're 1C each. Literally, that's going to drop as you're doing the campaign, so, you know, it's easy enough to get. The other thing is balance your resistances, and it's going to be a constant push and pull throughout the campaign. If you're dying a lot, you need to potentially drop your damage and balance your resistances. When should you switch to determination? So I obviously could not get determination in until I managed to get deep thoughts and mana mastery. And then basically, before I got determination in, I was running Defiance Banner and my Blasphemy Aura, and then Vitality. So that's basically how you get around that. That's, yeah. And then, yeah, just balance your build throughout. Keep balancing your build. Don't stop balancing your build. And it'll look exactly like this. Anyway, until next time, don't forget to like and sub, follow the Twitch, all that rigmarole. Also follow the Twitter. I post stuff on there now and again. Anyway, yeah, have a good one, and I'll see you guys for the second update, which will probably be out in like 1 or 2 days. All right, cheers. Bye.